Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of UC Sports. I'm Daniela Marulanda alongside Maggie McEvilly. And this past week the Huskies were piling up the victories across all sports and we'll bring you all the updates.
That's right, Daniela. Between football, soccer, hockey, and more, there were plenty of wins chalked up for UConn this week. Don't go anywhere. UC Sports starts right now. UConn Football finally had an exciting weekend in Philadelphia, breaking their 4-game losing streak and upsetting Temple in a 28-24 victory on Saturday. The Huskies had a strong offensive presence from the start of the game and made some big plays on defense in the fourth quarter to stay on top. Daniela spent the weekend in Philly covering the team and is here to tell you all you need to know about Saturday's big game.
UConn came to Philadelphia after an embarrassing defeat where they allowed the most points in school history. But today, defense was the key to winning the game. The Huskies defense still has some work to do, but they made big strides in this game. Although they gave up too many yards with 473 allowed to the Owls, the defense made big plays at the right time. Perhaps the biggest play was a pick six from Tyler Coyle that put the Huskies up by 2 scores late in the third quarter.
Important momentum shift, and Tyler can do things like that, so it's not a surprise at all.
Well, their defense finally clicked, the offense continued rolling along and got a big boost as wide receiver Hergy Mayala returned from injury. Mayala immediately made his presence felt as he caught a 6-yard touchdown in the second quarter, his 4th of the season in only 3 games played.
And I just told him, I said, just do me one favor, is just go out and play every play as hard as you can. And when that play's over, let it go to the next one, and do it for 60 minutes.
But maybe the most important thing for the Huskies is that they finally finished a close game. Up only 4 points as the game reached its final minutes, UConn forced Temple to turn the ball over on downs in each of their final 2 possessions.
Shows what we could do for 4 quarters. You know, past games we've been playing good for 2 quarters, and the wheels come off third and fourth quarter. And today it showed that we could play hard for 4 quarters and keep our composure. So
UConn hopes to carry this momentum onto their next home game against Tulsa for homecoming and the rest of the season. From Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, I'm Daniela Marulanda, UC Sports. And now I'm joined with Brendan Carney, who has been following the team all season long, and I want to know what you saw from the team. And let's start with the most obvious, defense.
Yeah, now I don't want to rain on anyone's parade with the improvement. Just drizzle on it a little bit. The fact that Temple has the worst offense in the American Conference kind of makes this a little bit less impressive, but any improvement you see, you'll take. They still allowed 473 passing yards and 24 points, but at the same time, East Carolina is also toward the bottom of the American in total offense, and UConn allowed 596 yards and 41 points to them. So there is some improvement, slowly but surely. Forcing more turnovers like they did this weekend would be huge for this defense to make up for allowing so many yards every game, and we saw the start of that with Tyler Coyle in that huge pick six.
I have to agree with that. Everyone at the press box when I was there was really impressed with this defense. Something new that we saw was the return of Hergy Mayala. And what do you think a player like him brings to this team?
Yeah, well, this is an offense that has been rolling along all season. Scoring points has not been a problem for them. But really the only guy they've been able to rely on consistently is Arkel Newsome. That's not a bad thing. It means guys have been stepping up week in and week out. But it's never a bad thing to have a guy come in that you can rely on every week. You know that Hergy Mayala is going to be the kind of touchdown production, clutch receiving kind of guy. You saw Mason Donaldson step up a few weeks ago, and he's been quiet since then. Hergy Mayala is probably not going to be quiet. He's a veteran presence in that receiving corps. He's the only senior. So with him back and with everyone else now getting experience while he was out, we could see this offense start to put up even more than the 30 points per game they've averaged thus far.
I have to agree. He did not do much I think he had that one touchdown and then a couple of catches, but hopefully now when he's more healthy and like coming back to his natural self, he'll bring more. And last question, what do you think will happen this Sunday on homecoming?
Yeah, my gut feeling is that they'll pull it out. They're feeling really good after this win. The defense played pretty well relatively. They finally finished a game. And it's homecoming. Tulsa's only in the middle of the pack in the AAC as far as points per game are concerned. They are first in yards, so maybe that'll even out and they'll score a bit more this week. But I think UConn definitely has a chance to win this game, move to 3-4, and who knows? Those bowl game hopes are not dead yet. They're not dead. They were close, but they're not totally gone yet.
Well, thank you, Brandon. For the analysis, sticking with football, former Husky Daniela and Yowen Smallwood were at the Lincoln Financial Field supporting the Huskies. UCTV was able to catch up with Smallwood, and he had some uplifting comments about the team. Tell me, what did you see today on the team, and what players impressed you the most?
I think today, the UConn football team, they came out with a spark. Offense came out there, gave them some points instantly. Defense got a lot of turnovers today, and I felt like guys came out here and they played with a lot of fun, and they played for each other, and they came out with the win.
What do you see this team ceiling? What is next for them?
They just got to keep playing hard for each other. They got to keep believing in the coaching staff, and they got to understand that there's a lot of football left in this season, and they can end it whatever way that they want it to go. So I feel like they just got to come out here and just keep competing, keep believing in themselves, and they're going to start to build up that confidence and start having fun and winning football games.
How important is this win, seeing that we haven't won since week 1?
It's great. It's just it's a big step moving forward. They came out here. This is a conference win. This is on the road, and they did what they had to do to win this football game.
And lastly, this is more personal. How do you think UConn Football helped you to prepare for the NFL and your career as a football player?
It helped me a lot, especially my position coach, Coach Hooley. He was always on me every single day about the little things, and the little things always equaled up to the big things in life and in football games and stuff like that. So I learned a lot from UConn Football and moving forward.
And do you have a message for our fans?
Keep believing in this team, get behind them, keep going to the games, keep rooting for them, and great things are going to happen.
Thank you so much.
It was indeed a good week for the Huskies, and they scored a 3-star recruit from Georgia. Steve Krajewski committed to the program over Syracuse and Georgia State.
And while football finally got back in the win column, there were plenty of other teams that have been racking up the wins all season long and continue to do so this weekend. We'll tell you all about it when we return.
Welcome back to UC Sports. Overall, a pretty great weekend for UConn hockey. The men's team had a 1-1 series split this weekend, and the women won both games in their series against Union. The men had their first game against American International on Friday night, coming out with a 6-4 victory. The Huskies were behind 3-0 at the start of the game, but came back quick with a hat trick from Alexander Payusov. Carl Almeyer and Wyatt Newpower also got the puck in the back of the net for UConn, solidifying the team's offense to come out with a win. Things didn't go as well on Saturday against Sacred Heart. The Huskies fell short in a 3-1 loss. UConn came out with a strong offense against the Pioneers with 45 shots on net, but Sacred Heart's goaltender Brett Magnus was able to save all but one of the attempts. Freshman Adam Karashik scored his first career goal in the second period, getting one past Magnus to put the Huskies on the board. UConn now has a 2-2 record this season and is getting ready to face Boston University in a 2-game series this weekend on Friday and Saturday, hosting their home opener.
You know what's really interesting, Maggie, about the UConn men's hockey team? Since Kavanaugh came to UConn as a coach, we have never been Sacred Heart. And that one school, kind of like UConn to Duke, that we just seem never to be able to beat, even though on paper they seem a school that's not as good on the sport. But enough about the men. What about the women's? What did they do this weekend?
Right, so the women had a very successful weekend on the ice, winning both home games against Union on Friday and Saturday, leaving them with a 3-2 record this season. They started the weekend off with a 6-1 victory on Friday night. Senior goalie Annie Bellinger had 15 saves in the game, letting one shot slip by with just 3 minutes left in the third period. UConn continued their strong offensive play in a shutout 5-0 win on Saturday. 4 different players scored in the weekend sweep over the Dutchwoman, with freshman Natalie Snodgrass getting 2 in the back of the net. Brianna Colangelo, Morgan Waybeck, and Teresa Knutson all added 1 to the board for the Huskies. Goalie Morgan Fisher provided strong defense against Union, saving all 24 shots throughout the game. UConn outscored Union in the series with 11 to their 1 goal between the 2 games, and hopefully UConn can continue with that scoring streak this Friday night at home against Boston College.
Thank you, Maggie, for the update. But you know what? There's still a lot of fall sports going on, and we'll tell you what happened this weekend with those teams when UC Sports returns from this commercial break. Like I said, we still have a lot of soccer left in the season, and the teams are racking up the wins in the last few games. The men's soccer team traveled to USF, where they played their 4th conference game against the Bulls. 1 goal from freshman Josh Burnett and another one by junior Abdu Bakijan were enough for the Huskies. The goals were very similar too, 2 breakaways where the players were one-on-one with the goalkeeper and they beat him easily. An important player to mention is Scott Levine. The Huskies goalkeeper had 4 saves and prevented the Bulls from getting on the scoreboard. He's also yet to allow a goal against a conference opponent. This puts Ray's 3 teams with a perfect conference record. And on the women's side, this week the Huskies play against 2 Texas teams. While I was away in Philadelphia, the team played against SMU and won 2-1, 2 goals from freshman Yamil Evelar. Those were her 2nd and 3rd goal of the season. Sources tell us that goalkeeper Carney has never lost against SMU, and it's kind of, her personal thing for Hofer, who used to play for TCU and used to play against SMU a lot. And on Sunday, the team returned to Moroni to face Houston, and this was another tie game for the Huskies. UConn won in OT with a goal from Sabrina Toole. The senior tallied her 3rd goal of the season, and worth mentioning, she had never scored until this year, and now she has 3 goals. So definitely a good year for her in her last year as a Husky.
Nothing new here from number 1 UConn field hockey, extending their winning streak to 22 games after defeating Liberty on Saturday 3-0. The Huskies now have a 14-0 record and 5-0 standing in Big East play. This marked goalkeeper Nina Klein's 8th shutout this season, making 5 saves against the Flames. Klein is now tied with Sarah Mansfield for a record-high career 33 shutouts. Charlotte Veitner put the Huskies on the board by scoring her 20th goal of the season, a team and conference high so far this year. UConn field hockey will spend this week getting ready to head down to Georgetown on Saturday for a conference game at noon.
This team is unlike anything I've seen. They keep on breaking records. Do you know that they have scored so far this season, their opponent 69-9? What do you think?
This team is simply dominating every team that they play this year, and hopefully they can return to Storrs with that national championship.
Now, for some volleyball, the Huskies travel to the Sunshine State for 2 conference games against UCF and USF. UConn split the weekend, losing 3-0 on Friday and winning their game on Sunday 3-0 against the Bulls. The conference action does not stop for the team, as they will play SMU on Friday at home.
And Daniela, we have to take a break right now, but in our last segment, we will tell you all about AAC basketball media and the latest from Huskies in the professional leagues. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This morning, the AAC had its basketball media day in Philadelphia, and it looks like it was a fun time for the Huskies. The women, of course, were chosen to finish first in the preseason poll, and junior Nafisa Collier was selected as the preseason player of the year.
And on the men's side, for a 2nd consecutive year, the Cincinnati Bearcats were first in the preseason poll, followed by newly added Wichita State. SMU's junior guard Shake Milton was chosen as the preseason player of the year. And for UConn, they were 5th in the preseason poll, but guard Altariq Gilbert was voted for the 2nd time as the preseason rookie of the year.
And Gilbert was the preseason rookie of the year last year as well, as a true freshman, and again this year as a redshirt freshman. I didn't even think that was possible, but the Huskies are looking to bounce back after an injury-plagued season and poor performances.
And now for Huskies in the professional leagues. The best NFL quarterback UConn has produced, Dan Orlovsky, is hanging his cleats and has decided to retire. He announced this on Twitter on Wednesday, and we wish him the best of luck.
Former UConn men's soccer captain Jake Nerwinski, who was drafted 7th in the first round of the MLS draft, is nominated for the 2017 MLS Rookie of the Year. He has started 17 games for the Vancouver Whitecaps, recorded 4 assists, and has twice earned the spot in the MLS Team of the Week. UConn has produced great players for the MLS. Kyle Larin won Rookie of the Year in 2016, and Andrew Blake was chosen as the best goalkeeper in the league the past season. So the Huskies are representing our school well.
And in the NBA, multiple UConn alums have sadly been waived from their teams. Amika Okafor, Amita Brima, and Rodney Purvis were all waived this past week, but there are still candidates to sign on somewhere in the G League. And that's going to do it for this edition of UC Sports. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at UCTV Sports and subscribe to our YouTube page, UCTV Channel 14, for all the UCT coverage you could ever need. For Daniela Marulanda, I'm Maggie McEvilly, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.